All right. Now, we are live again, starting on part 2 of creating a DA Form 6. Let's stop looking at my Twitch here. All right, yeah, so the next step is, let's name this, actually. I forgot to do that. So, rename to DA6. The next thing we need to do is have names, ranks. We need people. And we need to know, are those people even available to work to begin with? So first, we want to do a leave tracker, special dates tracker, whatever you want to call it. I call it availability tracker. That'd probably be a better name. So let's call it availability tracker. Now on this is where we're going to have our names of our people. So we're going to have rank, name. Okay, so we'll do rank. Rank, name. And then we're going to have certifications here. And then we're going to have dates. But we'll do certifications in a minute. Is that bold? Oh, okay. All right, so now we're going to have ranks of sure, SFC, well, whatever. So we'll do SSG. Okay, actually we'll do Sergeant First Class Ox King. Whoops. SFC is SFC in caps. Ox. Oh my gosh. Ox King. Actually we'll do King Ox. Then we'll do SSG Comedian, comma, jokeless. SGT Magoo Lady. Actually, we'll do another SSG here. We'll make her an SSG. And then SGT Magoo Gentleman. And we'll have Specialist Goku. Well, no, Goku doesn't have a last name. Kakarot. Goku. PFC Joe. Oop. First name GI. And PV2 Kai Cobra. And PV1. Actually, yeah, Vegeta. Prince. Since he doesn't actually have a first name, but his dad's name's King Vegeta, and he is a prince. He's Prince Vegeta. His last name is Vegeta. His first name's Prince. We'll call it that. Because King Vegeta's last name should be Vegeta. It doesn't matter. Get over it. Now. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to make this long. Just for the purpose of... We want this to say 1/1/2024 as a date. And then, can we do that? Yes. All right. Now, what we're doing here is we're having our dates. I want to take this here, go to Format Cells, and we're going to turn this 90 degrees. So now you can see it. Here's our dates. We'll go ahead and make these 21 wide as well. 22 pixels wide, excuse me. 22 pixels. Like that. Then we can take this. We'll finish out. We'll just do January here. Yeah, here, we'll go February. And I'll show you why in a minute. Oop. Come on. Come on, bruh. Okay, so highlight the cells, the column by the letter, not the actual cells, and do that. Okay, so this is gonna say he's on admin day, whatever. This guy, let's see, Lady Magoo's birthday, we'll say, is this day. Birthday, whoop, birthday. And then big summer blowout today, birthday. And then we'll say Kakarot has training. Oh, you. Yep, we'll do it like that. Just to make it fancy, we'll right click. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We will merge. We'll center. Highlight the whole thing. Center the top and bottom. Center the left and right. Geez, I can't speak today. Highlight all this. We're going to put fancy blocks around everything. And then big old fat box around the whole thing. And big old fat box around this part too. There you go. So that's our calendar. We could extend this all we want. We can put more people if we want. I'm not doing all that. That's a lot of work. And I don't remember that many characters from Dragon Ball Z because most of them don't have last names. So I don't want to make up last names for everybody. That's our calendar. We're going to use that to populate this automatically. We'll do certifications later. But we're going to have certifications here. Later. We have a bunch of them, but that's that one. Next is a special dates tracker. This is easy. So this is an easier way to do this. Instead of manually typing in what dates somebody needs off, we're going to do it in the special dates tracker instead. But to do this, what we want is to have drop downs. So the availability tracker is going to have everything. Yeah, the availability tracker is going to have, this is going to be our key for all the names and the ranks. This is our key. So what we want to do is create this name range. We're going to highlight the whole thing. And we're going to call this names. Now, if we press F3, you see names. Simple. Now, the special dates tracker is basically going to be the same. We could take this. We'll make this a little longer. Maybe somebody has a really long name. 220. But we don't want that. We want a list. All right? So we're going to do a list. To do this, we're going to press Alt plus D, or no, Alt, then D, then L. After we click, we're going to highlight this. Alt, D, L. And we'll get data validation. Select by list equals F3 names. Okay. Boom. Now, here's our names. Awesome. And we're say from. Oh, reason. from, and to. For the reasons, what kind? So we can have. Let's call this the back end. Oops. So back end, we're gonna actually hide this later. We're gonna right click and go hide, but we're not gonna do that yet. So for reasons, okay. So we have 3-day pass, 4-day pass, ordinary, paternity, maternity, whatever. You can read through here. But these are basic reasons why you would want somebody to have a day off or not have a day off, including admin, which is here, and normal stuff like leave for reasons other than what is already on here. PCS or pass. PCS means they're going to be off your calendar, so that PCS would fill out the rest of the month, and then you just wouldn't have them on for the next month. But pass, maybe they got a 3-day pass for the birthday, something like that. If you didn't want to use that, you could just use leave or unassigned. It's just a reason, admin, whatever. There's a lot of stuff. OJT means that they actually do work, but they don't count as your manning, so they actually do need to be there. But it's the same thing as them being off. They're just they need to be on the calendar, but not counted as a work person. So same thing. So we're gonna use this. We're gonna name this table 2. We're gonna name this type. Wait, what? Okay, we'll go F3. Not F3. Control F3. Edit. Type. Now, there's your type. Okay. So on special dates, reason would be the type. Reason. Jeez. Okay. And we'll say Goku has training, school from 1/4/2024 to 1/17/2024. Okay. Now, we'll make this a little wider. We'll go 100. Who cares? We got plenty of room. Move this over. Do 100. Sure. Okay. So 1 to 4. Now we get to write a formula. So we're going to erase all this. Oh, is it approved? Well, yeah, we can say is it approved. Status. Actually, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to back end. So on here, we'll go Alt DL again. I like my lists. F3, status, select, approved, disapproved, pending. So if approved, 100, okay. That fits, okay. So now, remove this. We're going to enter a hidden cell here equals this. Equals v look up b2 comma in here, so it's going to look up that name from this column and give me an answer from this column, and you say comma which index number is the lookup from, or where is the result of the lookup. So I'm looking for b2, which was Ox King, from this list, and I want to get this answer. So we'll say number 2, because it's this column and this column, because that's all I selected, B1 and C9. So column 1, column 2, so this is a 2, and we want to do in exact match. So exact match, and then close your bracket, enter, and you get Kakarot is a specialist. So over here, Kakarot is a specialist. So on special dates, now we just bring this formula down. Now, this is where it kind of got messed up. You see it says B2C10. That's wrong. We don't want to do that. So on this one, we want to say, whoops. On this one, we want to call this $sign to $sign, right? That means only look in that range or that list. And it will say if NA, make it blank. Now, if I select Ox King, should be starting first class. Select Ox King again, still starting first class. Okay, now we can hide this cell. We don't need it anymore. Well, we need it, but we just don't want to see it. Okay. Now for the date, we want to look up if Ox King has a date between the 1st and 1st, or January 1st, 2024. If there's anything that falls in between the dates of this and this, in this case, Goku does. Goku needs to have, where's Goku? He's right here. So we want this to have numbers. What we want to do is say, this is going to be a really complicated formula, but it's going to look really complicated, but it's not actually that complicated. So what we're going to do, we're going to take it in stride. What we want to do is we actually want an answer. I'm going to change this to the 1st, just because it's easier for this, and I'm going to change this to Ox King just for testing. Take all this out. So Ox King's in school from the 1st to the 17th. What we want to say is here, if This is post-editing Jokeless Comedian here to kind of explain this a little better than I did in the video. I had a lot of issues with the formula itself, but it is working. Let me try to explain this in a way that makes sense. Let's walk through this formula together. We're going to start with an if, or we're going to start with the equals. Every formula starts with equal. If checks whether a condition is met, if it's true or false. That's all it does. We have more than one condition that we want to check, so we want to use and. And means that if all of the checks are a pass, it is a true. And if one or more is not met, it's a false. We're going to use, since we are in cell E2, we're going to use the date from E1. So we'll select this. Now, we want to say, is E1 less than or equal to, just the less than sign and the equal sign. And then we're going to look for the date that we have in the other special dates tab. But we're going to VLOOKUP it because we can't just select that. It doesn't know where to look. If we just pick one cell, it's never going to be able to figure it out for any other name. So we want to VLOOKUP the name OxKing. So we're going to say VLOOKUP. And then the value of B2, which is this one. So we're going to look up this name in special dates, which is here. But we're going to get all of this. And we're going to say the from date, which is this one. I'm sorry, less than the to date. Because we're doing less than, we want to start with the end date. So we're going to say, is it less than January 17th? And since we started with the column B, this is technically column 1 for the VLOOKUP. This is column 1 because that's where we started. And since it's the first column, it's going to look straight down this one and look for that value of B2, which is OxKing. So it's going to look down this list, find OxKing, and then I want to give the result from this column over here, which is from the perspective that we selected of B1 to F9, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this column, 4. Now, the last part is, whoops, hang on, I messed up something. Oh, it erased my B2. Let me type that in. I forgot to put the column when I selected it. Now the column number is 4. And the last section is, do you want it to be an exact match or an approximate match? Most of the time when I use this formula, I'm going to do exact match. There is a time where you want to use approximate match, but not when you use names. Because it'll find what name is close and it'll just give you that one. And it has to be in alphabetical order. When you use exact match, it does not matter if it's in alphabetical order or not. And that's the one we want to use. So we can either type the word false, click the word false here, or just type the number 0. 0 means false. 1 means true when you're talking about anything that has to do with formula. So we'll select that. And then the next step, actually the next step is to say, that was from the far end. That was to the to date. Now we want to say from the from date. We're going to do the same thing of E1. And because I bounced around tabs, it's going to type the tab in there. I don't necessarily want that, so I'm just going to have E1. Just put E1 is greater than or equal to And the same thing, VLOOKUP B2. Well, not exactly the same thing, but B2, comma, special dates. Highlight. Now, in this case, we're going column 1 is the name, column 2 is reason, column 3 is from, and that's where we actually want. So we want column 3, and we want to do an exact match again, so I'm going to put a 0. The last step, the last condition that we want to meet is, take out that, we don't need it, is if the dates in the special dates calendar is approved or not. Because just because somebody is pending that does not mean they need to have that day off until it is approved. If it's disapproved or pending, it just doesn't matter as far as the calendar is concerned because it's not locked in. So we're going to do the same exact thing. Again, we're going to say, is Ox King, not the same exact thing, but is Ox King we're going to say VLOOKUP B2 for Ox King in the table or array of this whole thing here. Start with the name because we're looking down the name, looking for the name Ox King, and we're going to get the result of status over here. And that is column 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So column 5, and we want it to be an exact match of false, and that is what we want. Now if we hit enter, we're still missing some stuff. We're missing some parentheses because it tells me right here that we're only looking at and, right? So that gives our formula all the information we need. We're going to close out this parenthesis for that VLOOKUP that we just typed. We're over here on the and. Now it's telling us that we're done with the if, or we're done with all the VLOOKUPs. Now it's going to the left one more, and it says we need to close out and. So we're going to close out and. There's no more conditions that we need to evaluate, so we're going to close that out with a bracket to say we're done. And now we're on the if, the very first if. And the logic test is already here. If all of this is true, if everything in our and section is true, what do we do? So we're gonna move on to if it's true, what do we want? We want to VLOOKUP and then we're going to VLOOKUP again. So we're going to VLOOKUP something to get we're going to VLOOKUP our date, our special date name to give our short name, but we want to look it up based off of the number again. So we're going to VLOOKUP B2 again, and the same list again, special dates from here to here. Sorry. So our special dates, column 1 is the name, but we want the answer of 2. Our column, we want to look up the name and get the reason. The reason here is in column 2, and that reason is school. We want to have the exact match and close out that. So now we looked up the reason is school. Now we want to use that word of school and look that up in a different table. That's our lookup value is school. The table or array that we want to get the answer from is actually in the back end, and it's over here. Remember this? So we're going to copy, or we're going to select all of this. And because it's already a standard table, it says type all. That's fine. And we want to get the second column of this because it's looking up on the left side, and we're going to give the second one. So that's a 2. And it's in, and we want an exact match of 0. And that is everything we need if it's true for the whole formula. Then we'll put a comma. And if it's false, we just don't want anything. So a way to signify nothing in Excel is using 2 quotation marks. Now, some people want to do quotation space quotation, and that'll give a space. We don't want that because a space is not blank. We want a blank. It'll mess up formulas if you don't do it that way. And that's all we need. So we're going to close that bracket out. We have no more tips about our formula. It's actually finished, and we hit enter. Now, and it worked. The problem is, if I were to copy this formula down like this, it actually says NA because there's nothing to look up. Lady Magoo is not in this list over here. So there's no reference point because it says look down here, find the name. It can't find the name. It'll fail. And that's okay in this instance. What we want to do is start the whole thing. We're going to add on to the whole thing here and say if NA, and then we'll go back all the way to the end and we'll say if it's NA, what do we want? We just want it to be blank. And then close that, hit enter. Same thing, came up with a SC for school. Copy this down and we get blanks. That's exactly what we want. Now, if you were to copy this over, it would not work because we have our formula is not set up correctly to do that. What I mean by this is if we look at this cell, we said E1. If we look here, it says F1. Great. But if we look here, it says F2. So it's actually looking, because we copied it down, Excel says, okay, well, this is F1, this is F2, this is F3, and it'll add them up. We don't want to do that because now it thinks that the date is right here in F2. It thinks it thinks the date is here. We don't want that. Also, a lot of other stuff is messed up. These are all messed up. What we want to do is lock them in with the dollar signs like we did before. And it'll actually look like this. Dollar sign E1, then what happens is E is able to change. So when we copy it to the right, it changes it to F1. But then if you go down, it locked in. Oh, sorry. We copy this. Copy it across, copy it down. So now, when it copied down, when it copied to the right, it left F and left the 1. But then when we copied it down, that dollar sign locked that 1 in place. So that 1 is still there. That's what we want. We want to use our dollar signs the way we should. The easiest way to do the dollar signs is if you have your reference point, use F4 on your keyboard and it'll change your dollar sign. That locks in E but allows 1 to change. This allows E and 1 to change. And so the dollar sign before the number or the letter locks that in. So this is E1 and E1. We don't want that because that'll lock in. Every date we'll look at this cell only and never look at these. We don't want that. Instead, we want E $1. So it locks in that $1. That is a lot of words to say. Use your dollar signs. And when you use your dollar signs, the dollar sign before the letter or number tells the formula, lock this letter or number in. And when you do that, now you can just take your formula, highlight the whole, or click and drag it over to copy it over, click and drag down, copy it down, and everybody's happy and all the formulas work. We can remove this. Actually, yeah, That work. And that concludes this video. In the next video, we are going to, I actually need to expand this a little. We'll go ahead and do that now. For the next video, we're going to need more dates. So I'm going to take this and just move it over. Give us a whole nother month to work with. That's enough. Now, remember to resize your cells. All you have to do is select the letter at the top, and you can tell that the cells are, the column references are green. That means I selected the reference, not the actual cells. And we're going to select it to 22 because that's what the rest of it is. Isn't it? Yeah. So now all of these are 22 wide, and we have a bigger calendar to work with. Ultimately, you're probably going to have a year-long calendar for the leave tracker that has all these dates in there, and this whole DA6 form would be set up for a whole year. In the long run, it'll be set up for the whole year. In the next video, we're going to talk about why do we even need these reference points? What do these cells actually mean? What do these letters mean? How do we put them into our DA6, right? We're supposed to be working on the DA6. Why are we working on all this other stuff? Well, these letters are going to be very important when we move over. They're going to automatically populate into our DA6. We're going to put our dates in here and here and our month and have these automatically change to the months that we want to do. And we'll start working on populating the names and the dates automatically and moving on. Remember to ask your questions in the comments below, and I will answer them. If the answer is going to be too complicated for me to type out, I'll just make a separate video to answer those questions. So stay tuned as we move on with the DA Form 6 automation.